I love old school real-time strategy games. You know, those which are flooded the market in the 90s after Command & Conquer has been released. Krush Kill N Destroy was on my backlog for a while. I did not play this game back in the days, back in my days, you know, as I was obsessed with Command & Conquer back then, so I completely missed playing this and some other RTS games from that era. So, as I was in the mood for some old school strategy fun, I gave a try to KKND. Well, how it went? Well, let's say this is a tricky question. Stay a while and listen, because I have a lot to tell. Hello fellow gamers out there, my name is Mr. Zosta, welcome on my channel where I review great old games. I was curious about the background story, what is happening in the world of KKND, so I patiently sat through the intro, which has some strong 90s vibes. Just look at the interior of that ship, it looks like an LSD trip. There's some really weird graphics are going on here. The background story has some Fallout vibes, as after a nuclear war, which no one knows who started, the planet is in ruins, and there are two factions, the humans, aka the survivors, and the mutants who are suffered from the radioactivity. Hold on, what the hell is that? A giant crab with rocket launchers? This was the point that I started to feel that this game is not taking itself too seriously. You can see this in the presentation of the mission briefing videos where the acting is really bad, or maybe they just made it like this to make the game a bit more laid back. But is it a laid back game? Oh no, not at all. Krush Kill N Destroy plays as any real-time strategy foot from this era. You build your base, gather resources, recruit your army, and eventually attack your enemy. KKND is the same in this way. The variety of the levels are quite limited. You will see two types of terrain, a sandy desert world and a stony one with some grass and some trees here and there. Okay, this is a wasteland, I get it, but I would prefer some more variety in the levels. Some snowy plains or an abandoned city in ruins, stuff like that. What I miss from this game is the possibility of making a stronghold from your base. There are no walls to build around your buildings. Okay, there are machine guns and missile towers, but these would be more effective if you could place them next to a wall or something. My base was way too vulnerable sometimes. Of course, you can use the terrain for your advantage to place your buildings in an area which is surrounded by cliffs or something which will block enemies to attack from that direction. The method how to repair your buildings is different in KKND. In most RTS games, you just click on an icon and select the building what you want to repair and you are good. Here, you have to train a technician, send him to the building to fix it. This is a two-edged sword. In a way, this is much more realistic than just spend money and the buildings are going to repair themselves. If you do not have enough mechanics or they are die on their way to the building, you are fucked. On the other hand, this makes things more complicated and slower. I'm not saying that this is bad, it is just different. Some people might enjoy it this way. Let's talk about the units and combat, which are the main part of these type of games. You can train multiple units at the same time, and even you can set the training of the soldiers for constant production to flood the enemy with units. The unit types in KKND reminded me of the Mad Max movies, and I have to say that if the developers wanted to create units which would fit into a post-apocalyptic world, they made a good job. However, I have to say the units here are quite generic for me. I did not have a favorite or memorable one. There's a stark contrast between the human and the evolved units. The latter is more like a beastly, tribal, not civilized faction, while the human race maintained a civilized appearance. Unit-wise, you have foot soldiers with guns, flamethrowers, mechanics who can repair buildings. Vehicle-wise, you have 4x4s, motorcycles with side seats and all-terrain vehicles equipped with machine guns or flamethrowers. You can build a tank-like unit which fires slow but deals massive damage. The vehicles can go through the foot soldiers, and this is an easy way to neutralize them, but keep away from the flamethrower units as they can drain the health of humans and vehicles very fast. The appearance and the design of the buildings are reminding me of plastic Happy Meal toys from McDonald's, but there is a good variety of them. You can find all the standard buildings here: barracks, repair bay, machine factory, defensive towers, and the building which left me puzzled for quite a while. This is the research lab, which you can use to upgrade units. So I built one of them and I was like, okay, so how can I upgrade my units? Nothing appeared in the menu, I could not send units into the building, so I really had no clue what I was supposed to do. Until I realized that you have to select the research lab and then point to a building what you want to upgrade. Then it will start the upgrade process and you will have your units in the menu. Voila! God damn it, this is a cool process, just a bit unusual. The only resource in KKND is oil. You have to place a drilling site to an oil field, build a power station with a transport truck which will deliver oil from the drilling site and gives you resources. There's no limit how much resource you can store, like in the Command & Conquer games where you need silos, but honestly, you need to build so fast in KKND that you are not going to have the chance to pile up resources. I would like to make a complaint regarding the keyboard shortcuts, or the lack of them. In RTS games from this era, we get used to keyboard shortcuts, which makes the game more easier and faster to play. In KKND, you can assign units into a team pressing the Ctrl+1, for example, but the group cannot attack an area by pressing the A button while the unit is selected. Instead, you have to select what you want to attack with the selected team. You can just stop and position them somewhere and they are going to attack if they are being attacked, but this is not the same thing, and I think I would have a much easier time if they can give an attack area order to the team. One of my first impressions with the game was that I don't like the sidebar. The developers probably wanted to make things different than the traditional sidebar which we see in the Command & Conquer games, but the actual presentation is not the best. The icons are too small. The various menus are scattered around, you cannot see how much resources you have before you actually click on the icon to display it permanently. This is the same with the map and with the building and unit icons. The developers maybe wanted to leave as much space as possible on the main area of the screen, which is cool, but for me the sidebar was a negative part of the experience. Don't misunderstand me, it is perfectly usable, it is not broken, it is just convenient for me. The mission brief videos are funny, with really cheap backgrounds and bad acting. I don't know if this is intentional to make the game not that serious, but the videos made me smile a few times. There's a lot going on the mission brief screens, but there is one thing which is missing. There is no written objective list which states what you have to do on the next mission. Okay, in the video the objectives are told, but I want to read it anyway. The only way to find out the details of the mission is to start the game, enter the menu, open the mission brief submenu and read it. I know in these games the objectives are almost the same all the time, but in KKND sometimes you have to do something specific like escorting a convoy, destroy something with a squad, so there should be an objective list. The graphics are okay, however the buildings look like cheap plastic Happy Meal toys from McDonald's. I don't know, we've seen better graphics in Dark Reign, the game which has been made in the same era. Here the building designs looks cheap, the audio and music is cool, the sound of fighting and explosions are good, and the music is matching the atmosphere. However, there are no memorable music like in Command & Conquer. When I started to play KKND, I had a feeling that I'm going to beat the game in a few hours, as in these old school RTS games you just have to produce a wave of units, and send them to the base of your enemy, and that's it. Well, this was true until the 8th or 10th mission. After that the difficulty was brutal. My ass was handed to me all the time. I kept changing my strategy, I changed the position of my base, trying to build my units faster, but the enemy just sent wave after wave of units. And before you start to think that I'm bad with strategy games, I played many before. Okay, this does not mean that I'm good with them, but still, I think there is a huge difficulty spike around the 8th or 10th mission with both of the factions. Despite all the negative things what I said in my review, KKND is still a classic RTS game from the late 90s. It gives you the itch what you need if you like these kind of games, and I enjoyed my time with it, despite its flaws that I mentioned earlier. If you like the post-apocalyptic atmosphere and the classic RTS games from this era, give it a try. And if you are going to play the KKND Extreme version, there are extra missions if you finish the campaign. So, what about you? Have you played KKND back then? Did you like it? Do you have cool memories with it? Let me know in the comments. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you're not subscribed yet, now it is a great time to do so. Also, the YouTube algorithm has chosen a video for you. It is on the screen now, check it out. Thank you for being with me here today, and I'll see you in the next Backlog Quest video.